welcome into today's video. Today we are going to be playing with the new juvia'splace Culture 2 palette. I say new, I am much later in filming this video than I wanted to be. We're gonna do full swatches, we're gonna do live swatches. I will swatch it out onto my arm so I can show you like close-ups on the shades. We're gonna be doing 2 looks with this palette, and then also, and I have tested these before, we're gonna be playing with the Nubian Glow Liquid Luminizers. These are their new liquid highlighters. I did pick up 2 shades in this. That's what's on today's agenda. I'm a pretty big fan of juvia'splace, so even though I'm later in filming this than I wanted to be, I still wanted to make 2 looks on camera for you guys, so let's hop right into it. Starting with the palette. So, pretty big. I'm not gonna lie, I'm definitely gonna say that it's a little overwhelming. I usually like no more than 12 shadows or even 16 like max. I would say this is one of their pricier palettes, or it could just be that most of their palettes this size are comparable in price. This one does retail for $39, so it's definitely on the higher price. Here's the inside of the palette. It does not come with a mirror. There are 25 different shades with a mixture of pressed pigments and eyeshadows. I do believe that there's like 1 or 2 duochromes in here. I could be wrong and there could be more, but I can definitely see 2, at least in this side of the palette right away. This one looks like a duochrome. This one potentially looks like a duochrome. Even though this is more kind of on the rainbow side, it's still got some really good neutral shades in here that I know that I can reach for on an everyday basis, and for me that's pretty important. I don't know if you guys are like that. So I'm gonna swatch it, live swatch it down my arm the way that I normally do. I always start from the top row and I work my way from left to right down the palette. And I forgot to mention, this does have a shelf life of 24 months. There are 13 shimmers and there are 17 mattes, which in my opinion is actually a perfect ratio for a palette this size. You get a lot of complementary tones. So there's usually a shimmer that's like the same color as a matte in here, which I like. So these 2 kind of look the same. These 2, for example, really good for the kind of eye looks that I like to create. Okay, no time like the present. Let's get to doing a live swatch of this. Some of these definitely already feel like toppers. The one that I mentioned was a duochrome, is definitely a duochrome. Even though I just called this a topper, I think it's gonna be an extremely pigmented, really easy to work with shadow. This one shifts yellow, green, blue. Actually not a duochrome, this looks like a multi-chrome. Yeah, great pigmentation. This yellow one definitely feels like pressed pigment formula. It's just kind of on the powdery side. It was kind of hard to pick up on my finger. Next, going into this really, really beautiful, beautifully pigmented, super opaque navy blue. So far, these shimmer formulas seem super smooth and all the same, at least these 2. I started this one with too much of a gap, so hopefully I didn't shoot myself in the foot there, because I only have so much arm. I am not gonna call out all of these shade names because I would totally get them wrong. They are things that I absolutely cannot pronounce. This is like a matte bright pink. That one was really smooth. This one is a really, really light peach matte. This one's like an army green, just like this perfect shade of green. It might not be an army green, it's just a beautiful, like light colored green. This one is actually like a chunkier kind of gold shimmer. Yeah, I'm not gonna make it down just one arm. There's no way I'm gonna be able to swatch this all out. Just this bright, bright orange. Man, I was worried when I first watched this shade, but all of these other mattes, super stunningly pigmented, very, very creamy. This yellow one was a little bit tricky. It was on the powdery side and like hard to pick up on my finger. Here's Queen Vibes, which is like a true orange. They're definitely on the powdery side though, for sure. This one looks like another kind of duochrome. This shifts like pink to green almost. And all of these shimmers look the same. None of them are chunky. They're all very, very thin and fine, and they swatch beautifully. Just from swatching these, I'm like extremely impressed with the formula so far. This next one looks so beautiful. It's called Afro Beats. It's definitely a duochrome. It shifts like blue to purple. So I feel like I have to use this shade today. Doesn't that look gorgeous? That one's not overly pigmented, but it has a beautiful soft shift to it. Here's one that I guess could be the army green that I was talking about, and that one is just a matte shade. This next one is a really vibrant purple, almost violet. I don't know if you would call this like a fuchsia, but it's very vibrant purple, almost pink. And I'll get one more swatch here with one of these shimmer shades. This one's almost like a titanium shade. Another very, very smooth shimmer. You guys, this is an extremely well pigmented palette. Every one of these shades swatch so beautifully. These three right here, they're gorgeous. At least from this angle, they look so good. This one looks super, super fun. It's almost like a work of art. You know, this one that I said down here was like a titanium shade. It definitely has like a purple shift to it now that I'm looking at it. Very, very beautiful shade, honestly. Kind of underrated shade when you're looking in the palette. Here it is right here. It's very, very underrated in the pan. Not underrated, just not very pronounced, honestly. It's so much more beautiful in the swatch than it is just looking. It looks very gray toned when you're looking in the pan. Okay, so I am going to wash this one off so we can finish the swatches on the rest of the palette. I have to say, I'm so much more excited for this palette right now after swatching it than I was when I first looked at this. I think you guys would feel the same way. The quality of this just feels so much better than it looks. And when I'm looking at this color story, man, there are so many looks that I can think to create with this. Honestly, quite stunning. I'm really, really excited to start playing with this. Okay, let's get back to these swatches. So here's the next matte, which is like a pinky peach, very wearable shade for me. Here's a purple shimmer. This doesn't look like a duochrome in the pan. It's again kind of on the softer side. It's almost like a bluish purple shift. Yeah, now we're getting into some of the greens. Super deep, deep forest green shade here. Ooh, look at that pigmentation. I think we'll use that one in the outer corner on one of the looks. That one looks enticing. This one also looks like a duochrome. Yeah, it is. It's like a green to purple shift. Again, it's so hard to tell that these are duochromes or multichromes when you're looking at them in the pan. That one's on the lighter side. Like the shift is a little bit more nuanced than some of the other ones. This one again kind of looks like a duochrome. Just this purple to like orange shift. This one's almost like a silver. Maybe this one's more titanium than the other one. Again, almost a hint of purple in there. Very similar to the shade above it, right above it, which was the last swatch that I did down here for you guys. I think I'm gonna use this one as a deepening shade. It's a deep, deep burgundy. Wow, super easy to swatch. This one is like a lilac purple, if I know my shades, which I don't. That one's on the lighter side. Still good pigmentation. It was just a little bit more powdery than some of the other ones. This one is the true green shade. Very, very true green. Very true mix of like blue and yellow. This next shimmer looks absolutely stunning. It's a green to blue shift. Again, the shifts are quite subtle. I picked up a lot on that one. That was really chunky. This is like a deep terracotta shade. Another green shimmer. Has some hints of brown in there. Almost another duochrome. It almost shifts kind of yellow. This is almost like a taupe shade. And this last one here looks like this beautiful, beautiful, like deep, deep teal shade. Okay, so that's the second half of the palette swatched out. Still looks like an absolute work of art. Not as many duochromes or like multichromes in this half of the palette. I would say a lot of them are in the top part of the palette. I'd still say you have like this one here for sure that has a shift. The rest of them, if they're shifty like this one, just way more on the subtle side than some of the other ones. They're still so gorgeous. The pigmentation, you can tell on the mattes, like it carried out so far, you can tell that they're gonna be extremely, extremely easy to work with. They might not be a buildable formula. I love the quality of Juvia's Place shadows. I always worry that the integrity in these larger palettes is somehow gonna get compromised because they're on the larger side, but I don't think that's the case, at least initially from swatching this. Let me swatch this all out on my arm side by side, and then I'll come back and show you guys a close-up. So here's the full color story. I would say that most everything swatched very similarly the second time. I'd say the colors that have the most difficulty in terms of pigmentation are like the primary colors. The yellow on top and the blue on top that are next to each other, they're on the powdery side. The yellow one is a pressed pigment, but the blue is supposed to be an eyeshadow in Delta. The other color that struggled a little bit was the shade Motherland, which was the green shade. That is also a pressed pigment. So I'd say some of the pressed pigments were a little more powdery, a little less pigmented than the true eyeshadows themselves. Overall, the quality of this is very, very exciting. Okay, so the first look that I want to do is a yellow greeny look. I have had a couple of comments on some of my videos where I'm wearing a green eyeshadow look where you guys have said that you have liked it. So I think I'll do one of those, and I'm also gonna do kind of like my preferred standard look, which is a pinky burgundy eye look. So I'm gonna start on the left eye with this yellow as a transition. I'm gonna use Festive in the crease, and this one down here, the one that I said that I want to use for a deepening shade, in the outer corner. And for the shimmer, I'm going for this duochrome right here because it shifts like green to yellow. I will speed through this portion of it, but I will zoom you guys in. So let's jump right into it. Okay, wow. That was extremely easy to create the eye look. Everything blended perfectly. I think the quality of this palette is actually really, really special. All of these colors complement each other really, really well. They're very, very blendable. This deep shade out here didn't give me any issues with over blending. If you've seen any of my other videos, you guys know some of these deeper shades, because I use them in the outer corner, if they're not good quality, they will start to over blend. No over blending with this. Perfectly blendable shade. Beautiful depth. The shimmer that I use, the one shimmer, picked up super easily onto a brush. No issues picking it up. No issues picking it up on my finger. Just an extremely soft, very workable formula. Okay, so now for a more pinky look, I'm going to take this super boring shade here and see what kind of pigmentation it gets me in the crease. I'm sorry, all over, and then this one in the crease. We're deepening with this deep burgundy, and then I'm going to be using this green to purple shift over here. Okay, I will zoom you guys in again, and we'll get started on the right eye. Okay, so not as impressed as with that dashiki shade. This really deep burgundy doesn't really pull that way on my eyes. It started out really good, and then it was having some trouble building up. And of course, I try and diffuse the shade a little bit, and so it has to kind of hold its pigmentation so that I can maybe like smoke out the edge just a little bit. And it was kind of over blending, and it was getting a little bit patchy. Dashiki is a pressed pigment, so I would say that the pressed pigments are a little bit more on the powdery side. They do have a tendency to overblend a little bit. And I do want to mention, you guys, that if you don't already know this, pressed pigments are not technically, per like safety and federal regulations, safe for use around the eyes. I have never known anyone to use a pressed pigment anywhere other than the eyes when it's in a palette. Overall, there are 17 pressed pigments, so it's more than half of the palette. That may limit you guys if you do have eye sensitivity. I usually don't, so I really don't care. But aside from that dashiki shade, everything else blended together beautifully. That shimmer though in Afro Beats was a little bit more on the chunky side, so I was getting like a slight bit of fallout down here, and it didn't pick up as easily on my brush. I must complete this eye look with a set of lashes, so I'm gonna go throw on some lashes and we'll be right back. So I finished the eye look with a couple of different things, not just lashes. I did throw on a new release from Lilly lashes. These are in the style Enticing. These are like their half lashes. They're their sheer invisible band. I will link these below and everything that I did use to finish on my eye look in case you guys are interested. Most of them are new releases. Again, this is a new release. I did use 2 of these statement gel liners from Moira Beauty. I used the mint color in the green eye, and then the pink color, which is in hot pink, over here for the right eye. And I just used my standard like Sephora liners. I love these. This is the colorful Wink It Fault Liner. I used that on this eye, on the top lash. Then I used the Moira Beauty, I don't think this one is a new release, this is their eye-catching dip liner. I used this on the pink eye for the upper lid. And then just to fill in the top waterline, I used my Sephora retractable waterproof eyeliner. And both of those were in black. I am like obsessed with both of these eye looks. I think the quality on these were great. So now for a less exciting try on, let's put on the Nubian Glow Liquid Luminizers. I told you guys I got 2 shades. I got one in the shade Ivory Light, which is like a more champagne color, and then one in Starstruck, which is supposed to be a much icier shade. The one in Starstruck is also very like champagne-y. It's not as icy necessarily as the box makes it look. In fact, there's not a huge variation between the two shades necessarily. Here are the swatches. So this one is Starstruck and there is Ivory Light. So I think we'll go with Ivory Light on the left side. And I have been just like applying this straight from the doe foot applicator and onto my cheeks. I have only worn this once, but this is how I did it the first time, and then just tapped it in with my fingers. I like this formula. I think it's a cream to powder formula. I think that it's not overdone in terms of pigmentation. It doesn't have any sparkles in it. It's just very naturally luminous. I think it's really good quality. I did see that these were not getting the greatest reviews on Ulta. I did not read them, but I have to say that I would probably just disagree because so far I'm quite enjoying this formula and I find it really easy to work with. This one in Starstruck I think is a prettier shade on me. I think both of them work. Like I said, like a cream to powder formula, they're completely dried down. They're a natural looking finish. They're not sparkly or overdone. I think Juvia's Place did a good job with these. I think that if you like Juvia's Place and you like liquid highlighters that are a cream to powder formula, you'd really enjoy those. I also think that if you guys were thinking about getting this palette, that you would enjoy the quality of it. I was so much more excited once I started swatching this. I'm actually really glad that I got this palette because I think some of the shimmers in here are just super, super fun overall. I think it's like your colorful rainbow palette while still offering you some neutral shades that you can wear on an everyday basis. That is my final review today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you guys are not a current subscriber, I would love to see you subscribe. I'm out of here and I hope to catch you all in my next video. Bye guys.